So like everybody's like, I want to have confidence in what I do. And I'm like, you can't start with confidence. You have to start with courage. Your courage to start your business, your courage to go do something new. And then as you go out there, you're going to start building capability and then you'll start to get some confidence. But like it takes multiple steps.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Hey friends, our Turquoise Talk guest today is Lisa Druxman, who is the founder and CEO of Fit for Mom. She's a speaker and she's a mentor to mom entrepreneurs and the author of Level Up Your Life. We had the best conversation. She gave you some very tangible, tactical things to do as a mom, as an entrepreneur, and I just love her story. She helps women design lives that they love. And so we have so many things that we value that are similar, and some of our ways that we coach and mentor women just like you. We could have talked for hours. So she does empower women to take control of their life, their time, their energy, and their purpose. She's an award-winning entrepreneur and speaker, and she blends business success with personal growth to deliver inspiring, actionable tools that help women reconnect with their why and take aligned action and build lives that they are proud of. You're going to love this interview so much. And I'm just so grateful that I have this mic to be able to interview amazing women like Lisa. So let's get to it. All right, friends, well, welcome back to the show. I'm so excited for today's Turquoise Talk guest, Lisa Druxman. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's amazing. So I know that you are, well, first of all, we'll get to that in a second. Tell everyone who you are. Tell them a little bit about your family and how you got into Fit for Mom as a business.
Yeah, I am the chief founding mom of Fit for Mom. So if you've ever seen a brigade of women pushing strollers, that is one of our programs, Stroller Strides, which was the original program I started with 25 years ago. I am a mom to Jacob, who is almost 25, and my daughter, who's Rachel, who's 21. You always know how old Fit for Mom is by how old Jacob is, because I started it when he was just 3 months old. Happily married here in San Diego to my husband, Jason, and I am the founder and CEO of this business that has really started because I needed community. And now here we are 25 years later, and we are the largest fitness program for moms in the United States. We are the franchisor. So we have over 200 franchisees, over 1,200 instructors. And I think we've probably reached 1 million moms in the last 2 decades.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And it started with just a desire for community for yourself. Is that what I'm hearing?
It did. I was on maternity leave. I was the general manager at a large health club at the time, and I was so excited about becoming a mom, but I was so distraught at the idea of having to leave my son to go to work every day. And so during my maternity leave, I did a stroller walk with him, and it was our best hour of the day. And I had one of those light bulb ideas where I'm like, I'm going to start a class and I'm going to call it Stroller Strides. Like there was no business plan, there was no focus group. I literally came up with it on this walk. Now, I wasn't looking to start a business, I was looking to create community. And so I knew as a fitness professional, I could help moms by helping them get back into shape after having a baby. But I needed help with everything from sleep to nursing, all the things. So I started a local class in my neighborhood in San Diego with just four moms. And funny enough, I used to do the news stories for the local fitness stories, and they called me and said, "Hey, we need you in the studio tomorrow." Really, they just needed a warm body.
Yeah.
So I decided to go in and promote stroller strides like it was a business. And oh my gosh, it so wasn't. They had to put my personal cell phone and my personal email on the green screen. And I promoted stroller strides. I promoted a grand opening class that I didn't even have a permit for. And when I got back from the studio, there were 70 emails waiting for me. And I realized I was onto something. So we did that grand opening class, and 40 moms showed up, and two news crews showed up. I did get the permit, by the way. And I told my husband, "Hey, I'm taking a leap of faith. I'm not going back to my job. I'm going to turn this into a business." And that's exactly what I did.
It's amazing. Like there's so many lessons just in that little bit of an intro into the story. And I always find it fascinating as a podcast host, and I know you have a podcast as well, just the amount of women who start a business solving their own problem, right? It just
Absolutely.
starts from that. Like, okay, I have this problem. I need to find a solution. And then it becomes like a responsibility, right, to help other women with that same problem and with the solution that you have. So it's always so inspiring to me to hear the story behind the brand or the story behind the business because it's just so amazing to see women who are willing to just try. I mean, you didn't know it was going to turn into
Oh,
what it
goodness,
did,
no.
right?
I wasn't looking to start a business, nor did I have any thought to start a nationwide business. Like, so we started in San Diego, and I told my husband I'm not going to go back to work. I opened 12 class locations in that first year. So I found every Fit Pro mom that I could find and got them to start classes. And I taught classes multiple times a day.
Mm.
And I felt like I hit the mom job lottery. That was all I needed. I wasn't looking for anything else. And then we started getting requests from all across the country from women who wanted to start classes or join classes. And Martine, you got to realize this is 2001. There's no social media. There's
Mm.
no Facebook. There's no Instagram. This is pure word of mom. Women telling their sister or cousin or friend about this cool class they're doing. And so, long story short, that was why we ended up franchising the business. But I wasn't looking to start a business. I had no idea how to go national, and I certainly had no idea how to franchise a business. You
Yeah.
figure it out along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't that like the OG of influential marketing is just word of mouth?
Absolutely.
You know,
We call it word of mom
word
at
of
Fit for
mom.
Mom.
Yeah, I mean, it just is there. And like even now, when I work with some clients who, referrals is a big part of their business, and they almost like downplay referrals, like, oh, it's not really marketing or it's not really a way for me to get leads. I'm like, it's the best. That's someone who's had an experience with you, who loved it, and now is wanting to tell other people about it. Like that's what we used to do before we had Facebook and, all the social media. And really, that's what social media is,
It really is.
you
That
know?
is still how most of our franchisees build the businesses on word of mom. So, yes, they do social media, but if you only do social media, that's like screaming into an echo chamber. That's
Yeah.
only speaking to the people who already know about you because Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're not really going to show you to too many new people if you're not paying for it.
Right.
So, you've got social media, but then there's so many other things you can do from referral plans to partnerships and I mean, it's literally how we've built the whole business because our franchisees, they're small business owners. This is not a typical franchise. They're not looking to spend tens of thousands of dollars on advertising. Heck, they're not looking to spend $1,000 on advertising.
Right.
So they have to have word of mom in order to spread the word about their business.
Yeah, I love that. So when let's speak to that just a little bit from a business standpoint, because I know there are a lot of mom entrepreneurs obviously that listen to this podcast. And if they don't really love being on social media, or like you said, like they're just not seeing the traction and momentum, what are some of those things that you teach your franchisees as far as marketing from that place of just
Yeah,
referral and collaboration and all, like what does that actually look like for your people?
there are so many things like you've got cold audiences and warm audiences. So
Mhm.
if you've already got some clients, if you've already got that warm audience, then you want to maximize that as much as possible.
Mhm.
So you can do referral programs with them. At Fit for Mom, we'll do a new Mama Monday or some sort of a program where the moms are bringing other moms in, or we tell their story on social media. So it's
Yeah.
not just us talking, but not only testimonials, but like literally share Mom of the Month, Martine, and tell her story. And then all of a sudden her friends are seeing that. So thinking about that warm audience engagement.
Yeah.
As far as cold audience engagement, moms who maybe don't know you, yeah, social media is one of the ways that you can do that. Then what are some other activities that you can do to kind of let people dip their foot in the pool or at least find out about you.
Mm.
So, like a lot of our franchisees will do a free mom walk because pretty much all moms are looking to connect. So
Yeah.
we're not even talking about the fitness classes. We're talking about just meet and greet and connect with other moms. So they'll do that, once or twice a month. And with that, you start seeing how purposeful we are about connection and inclusivity and making you feel comfortable. And they find out about our classes and then they come to the classes. So we spend a lot of time working with our franchisees on all the different lead generators that they
Yeah.
could do. I mean, we could do the whole episode on that if you want. But I think what's cool about that is it shows that there are so many ways that you can build a business without only having to spend money. So
Yeah.
think about there's warm one-to-one connection. So that's when you personal text somebody or when you send a DM to somebody who's connected to it. And I also like doing like uh, little video messages on people's phone because like
Mm.
nowadays when everything's so automated, if
Yes.
you get a video message from me and I'm saying your name,
Yeah.
that is not automated. So that's
Right.
really something personal. We do a lot with partnerships. So thinking about what are other partners that have the same audience that you do. So for us, we're talking about new young moms.
Mm.
So, and especially ones that are, taking care of their health, but we're talking about pelvic floor therapists,
Hmm.
doulas, lactation consultants. And so we build partnerships with those local partners where we are promoting their business or we're bringing in their services. And then, we'll give them gift certificates to promote Fit for Mom. And,
Yeah.
you know, emails, social posts, testimonials. Again, we could do a whole episode if you wanted to on it.
I think it's great. I think it just helps people to like think outside the box that I feel like is so loud is like you have to be on social and you have to be on there like all your life, to promote a business and to grow a business. And there is a place for it. But I mean, quite frankly, I took 9 months off of social media last year and I filled my coaching practice because it just allowed my brain to think of other creative ways to really get in front of people. Because when I'm in front of people, when I'm with like eyeball to eyeball with my ideal client, like I just the connection. And I think that's what
Absolutely.
it just happens so naturally. And so sometimes that just can't, you can't replace that with some of the automations and some of the stuff on social media. So I think there's a place for it. But I do think there's a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners that are just, they don't want to spend their days there. They just don't,
Nope.
And so
Yeah.
knowing that they have all these other ways to truly make connections with a warm and a cold audience, I just think needs to be spoken a little bit louder in
Yep.
entrepreneurship and small business owner because it just feels like, oh, I have to be chained to social media. Is
I
how
don't think you
it feels.
do. I mean,
Yeah.
we give our franchisees a social media calendar every month, and we, as much as possible, try to give them the posts, the imagery, all the things, and we just tell them to copy and paste it. And
Yeah.
I would say you batch that, get it scheduled, check in once in a while, just
Mhm.
make sure you're social and do comments. But like I said, that is not the only way to build the business.
Yeah, yeah. And when you were talking about the DM, I just recently was invited to an opportunity, and it was a personal DM from someone, and it's like it almost reminded me like when you received a personal invitation in the mail, like snail mail, like a handwritten note, which seems to be so like not even part of anyone's processes anymore. But it just really stood out to me. I'm like, huh, how can I incorporate that in my business when I'm inviting
Yeah.
someone to something, like actually sending them a voice message? Like it really did just hit me. Like I used to do those things and I used to have more of that personal touch. And I think it's just so easy to kind of get into that automative because we're all about being efficient and being productive and like trying to get as much done as we can in a certain amount of time. But for me, if I feel disconnected to people, it lowers the level of enjoyment in my business and fulfillment. Like I love connecting with people.
I kind of think that was how we met. I feel like I DM'd you and invited you to be on
Probably
my podcast.
on LinkedIn.
And
Yes.
yeah, and that's so like it doesn't have to be just about the posts that you do. It can be connecting to the people who are in synergy with your business,
Mhm.
whether that is as a partner or whether that's as a client, and be part of the conversation. It's not always that you have to talk about yourself.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So tell me just some of the things you've learned over these. So you're celebrating 25 years in this business. Like, what were some of the things that, like, some of your biggest struggles or lessons that you've learned along that way?
Wow. So many, and it never stops. Like,
Yeah. Hmm.
I never, every year I look back on the entrepreneur I was a year ago and I'm like, oh, I don't even recognize that girl
Hmm.
because you keep learning. And, every new so I work with a lot of new entrepreneurs, right? Because
Hmm.
new franchisees come on every
Right.
single month.
Right.
And so, like, everybody's like, I want to have confidence in what I do. And I'm like, you can't start with confidence. You have to start with courage
Mm.
and your courage to start your business, your courage to go do something new. And then as you go out there, you're going to start building capability and then you'll start to get some confidence. But like it takes multiple steps. So many lessons. I'm trying to think of some of the top ones to share with you. I think that the thing that I'm really focused on right now, and I wish I learned it earlier,
Mm.
is to really identify what are your unique gifts. And it really is different for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I love, love, love personality tests. Again, we could do a whole nother episode just on that. Not that I'm an expert, but I'm just always the one learning about it. And we do a lot of different ones that fit for mom for all of our employees.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites is called Working Genius by Patrick
Mm. Yep.
Lencioni. Such a
Actually
good
saw
one.
him speak at one of John, was it John Maxwell's? No, Dave Ramsey had him one time speak. And so yeah, I'm on his email list. Yeah.
It's so good. So
Yeah.
Patrick says that there are five types of genius. Everybody's got two of them. All right, that's at least his theory.
Right.
And the word spells out widget, so that'll help you remember them.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonder, it's an invention, it's discernment, it's galvanizing, it's enablement and tenacity.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read the book, which is a really short parable, really easy, it made me realize that I wasn't loving running my business because I was no longer working in my genius.
Yeah.
And I had every one of my team members take the test. And it was really quite cool because we saw that we really run the gamut of
Mm-hmm.
having all the letters. And some people it's enablement and some people it's something else. What we realized though was no one in the company except for me had wonder and invention.
Yeah.
And that is a problem if I'm operating the business and I'm not working in it because you need wonder and invention in a new
Right.
in any company. So I redesigned the business. So that is what I work in now is the wonder and invention part. And what happens is it lights you up and you're doing work that you love and doing work that you're good at. And honestly, it doesn't even feel like work. And then you have other people who are doing the other things that are in their genius.
Yeah.
So if you're a brand new business owner, it is true that you probably have to do all the things, you have to learn all the things. But as much as possible, design the business so that one day you'll be doing what you love and what you're good at.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am all about that with the work that I do. And, I spoke about that on the podcast that you invited me on to
Yep. Yes,
with
I
the
know.
pro scan. Yes. I mean, it does make a difference. And it's kind of like the first time my husband and I went to a marriage conference and we did the five love languages
Mhm.
and like how that just opened so much knowledge into why we do the things that we do and the way that we do them. And I remember after we did, like, everyone should do this before they get married. Like, why is this not part of like, you must do this before you get married? Because it really does open up so much just knowledge around how you're wired. And it's the same with personality assessments. And I think that the difference for a lot of people is they take them, but then they don't know what to do with it. Right. So I love that there's programs now out there to help people really kind of coach through what does it look like to stay in my genius or stay in
Yeah,
my strengths. And again, that doesn't mean we're always are going to stay there, but there's
absolutely.
different aspects of the business that just have to get done.
Yeah,
But if all possible, knowing this is how I'm wired and this is what really makes me feel fulfilled. We've talked about this, like it keeps the burnout at bay because you're not trying to be someone you're not every day, all day, 24/7, 365 as the business owner and as the mom, right?
yeah.
Now you probably know how to operate that way as a mother and as a wife now too, right? It
A
just, yeah.
You are the CEO in your life, not
Yeah.
just your business. And so
Right.
a lot of the things that we learn as CEOs and business owners, everything from creating a strategy and creating goals and creating KPIs, they work in your life too. But I loved having you on the Mom Business Academy podcast, which is a private podcast we have just for our franchisees. There were so many things that you said that I'm like, that's what we teach. And I love it because to me, it doesn't mean that it's not something new or novel. It means success leaves clues.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
if you keep hearing that like time blocking works from five different successful entrepreneurs, it's because it does. If you keep hearing that a morning ritual works for most people, it's because it does.
Right.
So like messages from the universe,
Right.
listen, because
Yeah.
these success does leave clues.
Yeah. I'm getting ready to record a podcast episode on just, I've been using the B words, boundaries, belief. And so I'm getting ready to get to body and just talking about, as I was thinking about the episode, I'm like, all of the women that I interview that are highly successful or been in the business, like they take care of their physical bodies.
Mhm.
Like it's again, it's one of those things where, okay, if you're hearing multiple people do it, it must be important to do. It's not something that you add on if you have time. Like it's part of their success journey is that they take care of, they protect the asset, right? You're the asset to everyone else. And so I love that you brought that up because that was what I was thinking as I was thinking about that episode. Like that's a common theme when I interview women on this podcast is so, oh yeah, I have some form of self-care movement of my body because it is medicine and it does help me to show up better for everyone
Because
else.
otherwise they're going to have another B, which is burnout.
Right. We've already
so,
talked
so,
about that. That was the
so
first one I talked about was burnout.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So add that one. And it's a gift. I mean, it's a gift. When you take care of yourself,
Mm,
you will be a better mom. You will be a better spouse. You will be a better business owner. It just becomes non-negotiable. So it's not selfish because it will make you better at every single thing you do. So it's really something that I'm proud of that we teach our franchisees. Like we don't just teach strength in business, we teach
mm,
strength in business and life.
right. Yeah, so good. Tell me about time as far as self-care and, since we're kind of on that topic for a second, with teaching that to your franchisees. Am I saying that
Franchisees, yes.
right?
Yep,
Sorry.
you
I'm
said
like,
it
my
right.
brain was like,
You're
that's not the right
perfect.
word.
Nope, you're good.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of things coming out of mom and an entrepreneur. And that's usually the first to go. That's the first thing that goes is something for them. So how are you helping like your entrepreneurs in your franchise business to honor themselves in that way? Quick pause. If you've been listening and you're ready to stop performing your life and start leading it, if you know you're ready to feel better now, not later, and you're ready for support that actually creates sustainable transformation, I have private one on one coaching spots open. And inside this coaching, in Illuminate You coaching, we don't guess. We use your unique personality blueprint built from the science backed personality and performance tool called the Pro Scan, the one you've heard me talk about here in the podcast. This is used so that every decision, every boundary, every shift is designed specifically around your wiring, not someone else's. This is my aligned success method. It's not hacks. It's not try harder. It's not mindset glitter. It's a real solution. It's rooted in science, strategy, and your unique design. So you can lead your life as the woman you actually are, not the woman others expect you to be. Now is the time. Take the step. Book your clarity call at martinewilliams.com/clarity. All right, back to the episode.
We have a year-long onboarding program for a franchisee. And one of the very first lessons we teach is about time. And they're kind of surprised by it. They're like, I want to dig in and I want to get certified. And we're like, if you don't learn how to become a master of your time, you will never become a master of your business.
Mm,
So we teach about how to create an ideal week. So it's like creating a budget for your time, just like you create a budget for your money.
right,
Just like you create a budget for your money, it doesn't always work exactly like
right.
planned, but at least there's a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So we give them kind of a spreadsheet or they'll do it on a Google Calendar where like you're blocking in what are the non-negotiables, like you
Mm-hmm.
have to pick your kids up from school or whatever it might might be, like you're going to put those things in.
Right.
And then we have them start blocking to make sure that there are times set aside for the business. So they're not trying to do everything all at the same time.
Yeah.
And we try to block in themes because you use really different parts of your brain when you're doing meetings versus doing something creative like writing a blog or a newsletter.
Right.
So you might have certain days that are kind of set aside to be more creative or some more free flow thinking, whereas there might be certain days that are those buffer days where you're like, I just got to get through the emails, I got to get through the tasks. And I think it makes the week a lot more enjoyable to know that there's kind of buckets for these kinds of things,
Yeah.
that there's boundaries for how much time you're going to spend on your email, because otherwise you could just be on it all day long.
Yeah.
And we really encourage you to have workday startup rituals, workday closing rituals, and of course, to make sure that there is a minimum effective dose of self care for you in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but like all of us, it's different. Maybe it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
certain number of hours of sleep. Maybe it's a certain amount of exercise. For
Mhm.
somebody, it might be knitting. It could be prayer or reading the Bible, but making sure those foundational things are also on that budget.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And it's, they say, structure actually brings freedom. And
Hmm.
so like, but it starts with your belief, right? And believing that that's actually true, that if I plan, I'm actually going to have more time.
Yes,
Because I have a lot of clients that I work with that they like to be more spontaneous. And I'm like, well, if you have a plan, it's actually going to allow for more spontaneity because you're not thinking about all the things you have to get done. You can trust that it's calendared in and I'm going to get
absolutely.
it done. And so it just brings freedom and peace of mind and not having to think so hard. And like the brain's not wired to store that information. It's
It's
just not.
not. And you think about, I think almost all humans, but definitely mom entrepreneurs are just in a constant state of fight or flight
Yeah.
nowadays. And so you got to have time to downregulate your nervous system. We encourage all of our franchisees on that time budget to have one, my hope is two free days. I mean, really free days. I mean, you do not work. And and that's like mind blowing to most people. And that's why I say at least one, because sometimes they're like two is impossible. But like you deserve that. Like it again, it makes you better at everything else. So you're scheduling important things like tasks or appointments, but you're also scheduling in the things that are going to help you thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. I mean, I don't work Saturdays or Sundays unless I want to, right? Like, but
Yeah.
I work, and even Fridays are kind of iffy. Friday's kind of like my follow-up day, but you become more efficient with the time that you've allotted if you know that you're going to take the time off on the weekends. Like I used to try to do the weekends just like as part of my plan, and I could just feel it in my body. It was just like, no, we don't want to do this.
Yeah,
And
and
most of us,
I don't want people to live for just week. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't
no,
want
you're
people to
good.
just live for weekends or just live for vacations. Like,
Yeah.
I love to build in moments and joy in every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always like to ask kind of some questions. Again, we talked about some lessons, but what were some things like beliefs that maybe you held about yourself as a business owner that are different now? Like what did you have to maybe unlearn or behaviors you had to unlearn to get to where you are today for yourself?
I keep quoting books, but I read a lot,
I
and
do
so
too. No, it's
like
okay.
a lot of what I figured out is from, some of the mentors. And so this one is from Daniel Hardy and I'm sorry, Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy, Who
Yep.
Not How.
Mhm.
I learned I don't have to do all the things. I just need to figure out who needs to do it. So I don't need to figure out how to do the things. That was something I did figure out. I think as a new entrepreneur, I felt like I had to do everything. And, you know, but we'll talk about podcasting since you and I both do podcasts. Like all I need to do is decide what I want to talk about and show up for the guest, but I can have somebody else who is going to edit it. I can have someone else who's going to upload it. Those things don't need to be me.
Yeah.
So if it's not in my working genius, then it's probably not something that's the best thing for me to use my time for.
Yeah. And I'd love to kind of piggyback on that with how did you coach yourself or with the expense of investing, into that help? Because I think a lot of mom entrepreneurs know they need extra help and they know they're not working in their zone of genius, but they're also like, but how do I part with that money, like
Oh,
investing in health. It's
yes.
hard. Investing
It's
in a
so
coach.
hard.
Yeah, it's all hard. Yeah.
It's so hard. And again, this is a conversation with franchisees on the regular because they're a small business owner and it feels scarcity. It feels like I can't
Yeah.
afford to hire
Right.
someone to do this.
Yeah.
And sometimes the hires are not for your work. Like you might, like my first hire was a housekeeper
Me
because I
too.
realized
Mhm.
that was way better use of my time. And so, like certain things don't change. Like, you start as a $10,000 business, $100,000 business. I'm running a multi-million-dollar business now. The level of hires that I have to make now are even more expensive. So you
Mhm.
still have that feeling of, can I afford it?
Right.
And so you do the same negotiations to say, what would that allow me to do? If I think a virtual assistant is usually one of the best first hires,
Yeah.
either a bookkeeper or a virtual assistant or both. So, what would that allow me to do if I hired a virtual assistant? How much time would that give me?
Mhm.
Whether that time is to work on my self care, but often it's how am I going to justify it? Because let's say that virtual assistant costs you $1,000 a month.
Mhm.
What would I need to do to generate $1,000 a month in my business? And do I think I could do that by having that freedom? And you make a plan and you give yourself a certain amount of time to say, hey, could I go 90 days to
Mhm.
build that revenue when I bring that person on? And sometimes you do shoot too big. And I'm not saying we've never had to let anyone go because we realized, you know what, we can't afford this anymore, or it
Yeah.
didn't create the kind of revenue we had hoped it would. But that's how you stretch yourself and that's how you start to set yourself up to do that business. So you're working in your unique genius.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. I think about like my first hire and multiple things like housekeeping, but also like hiring my first coach and how I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But I also knew I had taken my business as far as I could go with the skill sets that I had. And so
Yes.
someone to come in and kind of refine that. And then hiring my first assistant, I remember telling my coach, she's like, you need an assistant. And I'm like, what would I have her do? Like, and then like once I hired her, I realized, oh, I was like offloading all kinds of things because I realized there were so many things that I was doing that I didn't need to be doing, that it wasn't just me that could do it. There were way more valuable things that I needed to be in front of and be paying attention to.
100%. And I've been in those same
Yeah.
beautiful shoes as you. If any of you listeners are thinking the same thing of what would I have them do? I love creating a sheet with 4 lists. So grab a sheet and put it into 4 different categories. One is what do I love? What do I not love? What am I good at? And what am I not good at?
Mhm.
And for 2 weeks, as you work on your tasks, drop them into those categories. And at the end of the 2 weeks, I want you to circle what are the things you love and what you're good at. And the goal is to build your business around that.
Mhm.
And that those things that you don't love and you're not good at are the things to start. That's what you should start handing off.
Right.
And that's how you build a business that like really lights you up and will get you through the hard times because I don't care what business you have, it is not easy. If being a business owner were easy, everybody would do it because it's
Right.
amazing.
Mhm.
So you have to really set yourself up so that you're lit up in your business and drinking the Kool-Aid, because otherwise you do get burned out. And then you're like, maybe it'd be easier just to get a job and have a salary.
Yeah, and I think we've all had that thought before. Like it just easier to punch a clock, go back to 9 to 5 and punch in a clock because then I can at least leave my work at the place. But as an
Yes.
entrepreneur, your brain is always running and you're always thinking about, what the next thing is and how you can grow the business. So we've talked a little bit about burnout, but I'd love to just know from you if you've experienced burnout before. If you have, what did it feel like to you? For some, it's different for everyone. And then what did you do to kind of work yourself out of it?
I have felt it many times.
Yeah.
It's you feel like you want to throw in the towel.
Mm.
You feel overwhelmed. You feel like you're pulled in every single direction. You feel like you have decision fatigue, like you're not trusting the decisions you're making. You feel like you are not doing anything good enough. Like I'm guessing this next statement will ring true for a lot of you. You feel like you're not being a good enough mom and you're not being a good enough business owner,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So yes, many times. I really thank my husband because he said something to me early in the business that's really gotten me through. early in the business, when we were early franchising, it was with a lawsuit, like all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, I am done. I don't have the energy for this. And he said, you can totally throw in the towel, but I need you to get through whatever you're going through first. He said, you can never throw in the towel when you're low.
Yeah.
When you get through it, tell me if you want to throw in the towel, and then we'll figure that out. And of course, I got through it. And then I'm like, oh no, I don't want to throw in the towel. I love my business.
Burnout will tell us terrible things when you're in that state of burnout. It will tell you the most terrible things about yourself and about everything.
Yeah. So like now when I recognize it in myself,
Hmm.
I kind of flip the script on it and I'll sit down and I'll get really clear on what are my most important things, making sure my calendar is matching those important things, making sure my calendar is creating enough space for refilling that energy. So again, different ways to either downregulate your nervous system, energize yourself through good eating. Like I'll double down on all of that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned having a coach. I have gotten through a lot by being with peer groups.
Yeah.
And so have all of our franchisees are all in peer groups because it feels very lonely sometimes to be a business owner. And there's a saying in franchising that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Right.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't think you have to be a franchisee to experience that. Like you can be in business for yourself, but you can also put yourself in a mastermind or a peer group where you're with other people who have gotten through hard things.
Hmm.
And those are some of the ways.
Yeah. I love that. All really good things. And all that requires you to slow down, right? I mean, burnout is kind of one of those things where it'll tell you to speed up and push harder and just keep pushing, and you'll get to the other side of it. But really, as you have learned, it's a time to like sit back and
Yeah.
evaluate and look at your calendar and look at like what's going on with my energy. And here's the thing, like no one's coming for you. Like you have to decide that I'm going to slow down and take a look at what's going on. It's almost like the check engine light comes in on your car. You wouldn't ride around with the check engine light on your car for days and weeks and months and years. And that's what a burnout signal is that check engine light coming on where you have to kind of slow down and look at what's going on here. And I think a lot of us would have been told, or we tell ourselves like, I don't have time to do that, I've got too many things to do. It's kind of like the sharpening the saw story. I don't know if you've heard that story, but
Oh gosh, yeah, such a good one. No, tell the story in case somebody hasn't heard it because it's a good one.
yeah, so this man walks upon, a man who's feverishly like trying to saw down this tree in the woods. And the guy's like, what are you doing? He's like, can't you see I'm trying to like saw down this tree? And he's like, you look exhausted. He said, well, I am. And he said, well, why don't you take a break and sharpen the saw? I'm sure it'll go much quicker if you do. And he says, I don't have time. I'm too busy sawing. Right. And
Yeah,
it just sounds ridiculous. That's really a short version of that story. But how many of us say that on a daily basis? Like, I just have to keep grinding. I don't have time to step back and sharpen my own saw. I'm just going to keep sawing with a dull saw, is what you're
yeah.
doing, right?
When you feel like you're burned out,
Yeah.
when you feel like you want to throw in the towel,
Hmm.
rest, do not quit.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. There was another question I was thinking I was going to ask you, and then we started talking about sharpening the saw. Maybe it'll come back to me. But tell me what you're most excited about right now in the business and what you're doing.
I'm excited because it's our 25th year anniversary
Yeah.
and it
Congratulations.
feels like a milestone and I'm really
It
proud
is.
of
Yeah.
it. I am really proud of the team that I get to work with every single day. Like everybody is working in their genius and really talented group of people. So now that I'm getting to be back in wonder and invention, that's
Mhm.
fun, right? And
Right.
so we've been fitness for every stage of motherhood for a while in terms of pre and postnatal fitness, and we have 8 different programs. But one of the things that I just created, and I'm still creating because we're creating a new version of it, is called Stronger Every Season, which is our peri and postmenopause program. That's the stage that I'm at, and that's the stage that so many of our clients are at.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about nutrition and we're talking about progressive strength and balance work and sit workouts and it has been so much fun. It has been so well received. And I really feel like I'm alongside these women doing this program. So that's something that we're definitely excited about.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I was just thinking, I'm like, I bet it's going to be a perimenopause or menopause because
How can we not,
that's the next
right?
season, right? Yes. It's all the buzz everywhere, but it is, I'm just thankful that the conversations are happening now.
Absolutely.
Like my mom didn't have that experience. It
No,
was just kind of this hidden thing to go through. And now it's just like we talk about it. And I think it's so important, which is why community is so important. You talked about that. And that reminded me of kind of what I was going to say. I was coaching a client yesterday and just the thoughts that this client was having about I'm making horrible mistakes in my business and I can't believe this is where I'm at. And he went to a mastermind and the difference in the tone of voice coming out of that mastermind, just seeing people who were making some of the same mistakes or had made some of those mistakes and now are out of it. I mean, it was just a completely different experience to have that like
absolutely.
normalization of failure, right? Normalization of like, okay, we're going to try some things work, some things don't work. But to be in that community, whether you're a mom working on fitness or an entrepreneur building your business, to be in some type of community where you're working through it together and someone might be just one step ahead of you, but that's all you need to see to keep that spark and keep that hope alive that you can do it too.
I believe so much in that. I have invested a lot of money over the years. I have done a variety of programs. I do like to change it up every few years because I think that you just keep learning from different coaches, different mentors, different peer groups.
Mhm.
And again, that's why you don't recognize yourself if you keep growing yourself.
That's right. Evolution. It's ever happening. I think back to myself 2006, when I started as an entrepreneur, I'm a completely different woman, in the best possible way, right? It's so different.
Absolutely.
So tell everyone where they can connect with you, Lisa.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to find out anything about Fit for Mom, it's fit the number four mom.com. And that's how you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Actually, I should say there's thousands of Fit for Mom pages because of all of our franchisees. So it's Fit for Mom HQ. And then I'm pretty easy to find. I'm Lisa Druxman on Instagram and Facebook. And, you know, I'm a sharer. So if you follow me, I share what I figure out, whether we're talking about fitness or nutrition or life balance or entrepreneurship. I'm probably not the most focused entrepreneur as far as social media goes because it's just whatever's bubbling up for me that day.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's why I think like I don't want to be chained to it, but like if I feel inspired and moved, and compelled, I'm going to share it with someone. If not,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to. So like I'm not one that does a lot of pre-batch work because I just move through inspiration for a lot of my content. But if you could leave the listeners with one last kind of final encouragement for all the mompreneurs that are listening, what would you want to tell them?
Can I leave a quote? It's not
Sure.
mine. It's Catherine Center, and I think it goes something like every single minute of every single day, you are writing the story to your only life.
Mm.
So just like any book, change the page, change the chapter if you don't like how it's being written. You're the one holding the pen.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. You're so easy to talk to. We could have talked
Oh, we could have talked for
for
hours. So much fun. Thank you for
so
having me
much
on
fun.
your show.
Thank you. All right, friends. Well, I'll catch you on our next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.